Hello everyone, I'm back with some final thoughts about the new hobbyking BZ-222 two-wheel drive racing buggy. I already did my unboxing video and kind of talked a little bit about the specs there, but I'm going to rehash some of it here because I've learned a little bit since then. First of all, as I said, this is a two-wheel drive entry-level racing buggy. It does not appear to be a clone of anything, as some past hobbyking products have been. It seems to be a clean sheet redesign. It's pretty standard two-wheel drive buggy layout with a few exceptions. The biggest one is the belt drive transmission. I know there were a lot of questions regarding the belt drive, specifically the reliability, and so far it has held up very well. It's a sizable belt. It's approximately 8 millimeters thick, and it is adjusted right back here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there is a little set screw right there, and that adjusts the belt tension. I set it once when I first got the buggy and took the transmission apart, and I have not had to reset it since. It may be converted to mid-motor. It's a bit of an afterthought. Basically, the whole transmission assembly just moves forward, and from what I've heard, a lot of guys are running into problems with clearance on the camber links. I actually had clearance problems here in rear motor layout. So it's, again, mid-motor's kind of an afterthought, and as you'll see in the driving video later, the buggy is a real handful on oversteer anyways, so mid-motor, I'm not so sure how many people are going to try that, but maybe some will. The body here is very cheap PVC. It's not Lexan from what I can tell. It actually has a couple of small cracks here from just handling it. I mean, on a buggy, the body doesn't really take any abuse, so yes, I've wrecked it, but these cracks aren't even from wrecking. So it's a flimsy body, but it's not really that big of a deal. As I said, buggies don't typically put a lot of abuse on the body. What they do put abuse on, though, is the wing, and the wing is real deal polycarbonate Lexan plastic, so that's held up just fine in my abuse. The battery tray here fits a standard LiPo pack, but you got to be really careful about how thick of a pack you put in. So this is Zippy's 2S 4000 milliamp hour pack. It's one of the cheapest ones that hobbyking has. It fits about perfect. They give you a bunch of space up here. You take these pins out, and you can adjust the battery compartment up and down to fit a really thick pack. But if you notice right back here, there is a non-adjustable portion. And from what I've found, 25 millimeters is about the absolute limit for how thick your battery can be before it will no longer fit in that compartment. So be wary of that if you want to try some, or if you want to try some big batteries. I have some 5,000 milliamp hour batteries that you basically have to hammer in there. They'll fit, but it's close. It's sold with a 32 pitch 64 tooth spur gear, a gear differential, and a 15 tooth pinion is included. That gearing seemed about right for a 3500 kV motor, which is, I believe, stock is a 3300 kV if you buy the RTR version. If you're building it for a 17.5 stock buggy class, which is what I've done here, you're going to need some gearing changes. A associated spur fits just fine, and you can then convert it to a 48 pitch, which is really handy. Shocks, all aluminum. They are adjustable via threaded shock collars. Camber is adjustable. Caster is adjustable via some spacers here. There we go, right here in the caster block area. These down travel limiters are also included in the package, but they are not pre-installed on the buggy. You've got two of them up here, and then you've also got two back here. They come in a separate package in the box. It took me a while to figure out what they're for. They are down travel limiters. The only use that I've really found for the down travel limiters is there are some reports of the dog bones popping out at full extension, at full suspension extension. I have not had that problem yet, but if you do, just limit the down travel and you should be just fine. So the steering is surprisingly good. There's very little slop here, but the biggest problem I have with it is the servo saver. it allows a lot of movement, and it's non-adjustable. Just running it on the track, I can see there are some corners where the steering is just flopping all over the place, and it doesn't really seem to affect anything. I'll keep an eye on it and let you know if I change my mind. So the biggest issue that I had with it right out of the box were the tires. If you notice on here, these are not the stock tires. These are two-wheel drive tires, and by the way, it's sold with basically some four-wheel drive front tires. So they look thick and beefy in stock form. The wheels are standard two-wheel drive wheels, so standard two-wheel drive tires fit right on them, no problem. These are Proline Suburbs M3s in the front, so the soft compound. These are Proline Proton M4s in the rear, so the super soft compound. And they really settled the Buggy down quite a bit when I put good tires on there. We'll see that in the driving video. Some other changes that I've made to it. The shocks out of the box for my hard-packed clay surface I thought were very underdamped. They appear to have about 500 to 600 Cinestoke oil in them from the factory. I'm up to 1,000 front, 1,200 rear, and it now seems about right. It still is not as solid as my other buggies, but I think it's usable in this form. So far, durability. Durability has been good so far. I've only broken one part, and that is right back here. In stock form, there are two small plastic studs that are on this piece, and they protrude out through this aluminum frame. Those sheared off the first time I ran it. So all I did is go to the drill press, drill a couple holes, you can just use a hand drill if you need to, and put a couple of short screws in there. I believe they're M3 by 6s, I think is what I used. And they work great. I've had no problems with it ever since. And that, so far, is the only thing that I've broken on this Buggy. It's been pretty good. I mean, I'll amend my opinion later if things start getting smashed up, but so far, durability has been great. So let's take a look at some of the driving footage. Okay, now we get to some driving video, what everyone's been hoping to see. Full disclosure, this is not the stock Buggy. This is after I did the suspension and tire changes that I talked about earlier. But before I get to that, let's talk about the power system for a moment. What I have here, as I've already described, is a 3500 kV sensorless speed passion system, and I was really pretty disappointed with this setup. It has plenty of power on the top end, but the bottom end grunt is just awful. It makes the thing really hard to control. It has no power off the line and then comes on really strong about halfway through the power band. I think that's a symptom of the sensorless setup, but I've had lots of sensorless setups that are a lot better than this one. So this was about 50 bucks on eBay for both the motor and ESC, and in this case I got what I paid for. You can see here I'm really struggling to keep the Buggy in line, and part of that's the handling, but part of it is just that the power is so unpredictable. So something to keep in mind. As far as speed goes, though, if the 3500 kV system I have is an indication of the 3300 kV system that comes with its stock, I thought power was adequate. I never really wanted for more, except for right off the line, and I'd say the top speed is probably between 25 and 30, which may not sound like much, but around a small track like this, it's more than enough, and I suspect it'll be more than enough for most casual bashers that are probably going to gravitate towards this thing. So I know I've said it about a dozen times now, I'm hoping it sinks in, but please, just replace the stock tires. You'll thank yourself for it later. With the stock tires, the driving experience was just miserable out of the box. It oversteered any time the throttle was even touched, no matter how gentle I was with it. It just was awful to get around a track. Some of the bashers might like it just to do donuts or something, but that's about all the stock tires are good for. With these Prolines on it and the thicker shock oil, it definitely handles and jumps better. With the thin shock oil that was in it from the factory, I found the front end would actually bottom out and compress on the face of the jump, which would kind of cause some drag and really kill your momentum through the air. With the improved shock oil damping rates, it really jumps a whole lot better and is nice and stable through the air. So let's get to some conclusions here. What we have is a decent budget Buggy, and you get what you pay for, but in this case that's not necessarily a bad thing. The BZ-222 has a lot of good things going for it. You get full aluminum threaded shocks all the way around, they're big bore, you get full bearings all the way around, There's a lot of adjustability on the chassis, which I wouldn't expect for a buggy of this price range. Another thing I haven't even mentioned yet are the solid A-arms, which at first I thought they looked cheap, but in reality they don't collect dirt like any of the normal A-arms do. And I really appreciate that, whether hobbyking did it on purpose or not. You also get the ability to run rear or mid motor, which is great for a buggy in this price. So it really has a lot of good things going for it. But all that being said, I can't help but be disappointed at the missed opportunity here for hobbyking. They built a decent budget buggy when they could have built a great budget buggy for just a couple dollars more. Small things like the rear motor guard that broke on my first run out. It's a minor inconvenience for me and I fixed it in a few minutes for pennies. But if it happens to a kid on Christmas who just got this as his first buggy, or a racer during a race, they're going to be really mad about that. And with just a couple drilled holes and 2 screws, hobbyking could have eliminated that problem right from the factory. The other complaint I have about it is the stock power system, and I know I didn't test the stock power system, but the one I have is very similar. hobbyking has really geared this towards the racer, in my opinion. They even dropped the brand name of Basher and replaced it with BSR, which to me says racing. Yet they included a power system that isn't legal for any of the stock buggy classes, nor is it going to be fast enough to compete in the mod buggy classes. So they gave you basically a throwaway power system if you actually plan to race this. In my opinion, what they should have done is put in a stock buggy power system. They have their Trackstar 17.5 turn motor, which is censored and would have been great in this buggy. Actually, that's what I'm running right now. I've since replaced the 3500 kV system. In my opinion, they should have sent it with a race legal power system and sold it as a race ready kit right out of the box, along with either no tires and took a couple dollars off the price, or better tires and added some money to the price. So anyways, I think that we have a decent budget buggy here. I wish it was better. With just a couple tweaks, hobbyking could have really hit a home run. Instead, I think they hit about a double. It still gets a buy rating from me. I'm very pleased with it. It's been reliable. It's a good platform to build with. I just think that it could have been a little bit better. So that's it for now, and I will continue to update this video in the comments section as more things break, as I'm sure they eventually will. Thanks for watching.